Hey, what's up? This is TJ. How you doing? Today I'm going to do a review, a full demo, some sound samples of the Modbap Modular Per4mer eurorack performance effects units. These things are really fun and awesome. Let's check it out. Alright, here we are with the Per4mer. What I want to do is just take a look at the front panel here, the connections, and explain to you the different effects and the signal chain. Later on we'll get into doing some patching. Now, first what you want to see is there are 6 effects on here. The first one is what's called a color effect, and that's accessed here. Just push the button and you'll see the LED change color. There are 4 presets. You can't change anything with the presets, but there are 4 of them. You access all 4 of them by hitting the shift button here and then just tapping on the color button again. And you'll see the LED change. There are 4 of them. There is a classic preset, that's number 1. That's a classic 12-bit reduction at 16 kilohertz. That's the purple one. And then the preset number 2 is the lo-fi mode, which is a 8-bit reduction, kind of a dirty sound with only a 6K sample rate. That's the teal LED. Next is a saturation, and that's a soft clipping. It rolls off the highs a little bit, and it adds some punch with a low mid boost, and that's the orange color. And lastly, you have the wax, and the wax adds noise and cracks and warbles, adds a little bit of hits, and that is the blue LED. That's great for the dirty drum sounds and stuff like that. All right, next in the signal chain, let's turn that off. Okay, is the compressor, and it also has a side chain input. Okay, and the compressor does have 4 different parameters that are associated with it. You access those parameters by, again, hitting the shift button. Let's go two-handed here. Alright, and the first one is the threshold. The FX2 is the ratio. FX3 is the attack time, and then the release time. You can see it says FX1, FX2, FX3, FX4 on the top, and those are the main pots that control the different amounts of parameters in all the different effects. Okay, so let's turn the compressor off, and the next one that you have with these arcade buttons is the delay, and the signal chain again goes from the color to the compressor. Next in the chain is delay, then you have reverb, and you have a glitch, and you have a tape stop. So let's go into the delay here. It is either a momentary hit with these arcade buttons, or you can latch them by hitting shift and holding it down, and that will latch it. The delay does have the parameters available here on the top. Now the way this works is the parameters that are available here on the top will work on the last effect, the last arcade button that was hit. So if I want to change the parameters on the FX 1, 2, 3, and 4 knobs, okay, and I want to do that on the delay, I'll hit the delay and make those changes. If I want to change it, say, on the glitch or another one, I hit that and then I make those changes. So let's again talk about the delay. The delay parameters that are available are the wet-dry mix, the time, okay, and that time can potentially be a subdivision of the clock or the clock input from an external source. The feedback and the amount of filter cutoff. There are 2 additional effects that are accessed here by the shift button. The first one is an attack time, and the second one is a release time. So how long it takes to envelope in that effect as well as release it. Very cool. One thing it does not do, I wish it would do, possibly a great feature request, say for the other 2 knobs, is for it to have a, say, attack and release time even after you release the momentary switch. That would be very cool. So particularly with the reverb and the delay, you could do that and have tails still running even if the arcade button isn't actually on still. Next you have a reverb. That's the next one in the signal chain. Again, it is a wet-dry mix, time, decay. It has a pre-delay, and again, you have the 2 shift buttons. for 1 and 2, which are the attack and release time. Next in the signal chain is the glitch. Fun effect is the glitch. And again, that is a wet-dry mix. Probably most time you would keep that 100% wet to get most out of it. And then you have the size. Now the size parameter is determined on either the tap tempo, which is right here. Get it really fast or slow. Okay, or the input clock and a division of that. So if you have it fully clockwise, I believe that it goes to just a loop. So it can loop the entire amount, and as you roll back through it, it'll give you subdivisions when it's fully counterclockwise. All right, next you control the pitch. Fun effect to do this on a live performance element, changing the pitch while holding the glitch button. I'll show you that later. Okay, and then you can either put the glitch in a forward, all the way on the clockwise mode, all the way scanning back to a counterclockwise mode, where it is in reverse. Again, you also have the shift 1 and 2 for the attack and release times. I didn't mention this before, but the minimum attack time is 5 milliseconds all the way up to 5 seconds, and the same is true for the release. So a lot of buffer available for you there. And lastly, we have the tape stop. All right, and the tape stop, again, it has the wet dry, it has the time. This is the amount of speed of which the pitch will change. Again, the maximum is 5 seconds. And you have the slope of the shape of the tape echo effect, or tape stop effect, I should say. And then it is either a exponential sweeping to a cubic shape. And lastly, again, you have a filter, so that's when the filter closes off when you're hitting the glitch effect. It does also have the shift, attack, and release times. All right, now that we looked all over the panel, we want to hear some sound, right? So I've got my Bell 2HP module being driven by a little simple sequence with a little modulation going on. Let's hear that dry. A lovely little sequence. Now I also have the clock coming in from the sequencer. Now we want to go through the signal chain. The first one is the color, then you have the compressor, delay, reverb, glitch, and then the tape stop. So let's listen to the color effect. The first one is the classic. That's the 12-bit reduction. Next is the lo-fi mode. That's the 8-bit reduction, lower sample rate. Then you have saturation. And lastly, the wax. That's noise, clicks, warbles, hiss. Lots of fun with that. All right, let's turn that off. We want to hear the compressor. On, off. The compressor does have 4 parameters associated with it: the threshold, the ratio, attack time, and release time. You got to hold the compressor button down. The ratio is 2:1 all the way to 12:1. And it does have the sidechain input. Turn that off. Next up, we have the delay on the arcade buttons. Okay, you can either hit the momentary, or you can latch that with the shift button. Gotta hold the shift down, like that. You got the wet dry mix here. The time. feedback. And you have a filter, low pass filter. Which means low pass to the left and high pass to the right. Okay? You do have, let's turn that off, the shift FX1, FX2 parameters, which are attack and delay when you hit the momentary. So if I turn those all the way up, it'll slowly attack in and then slowly release when I release the button. See, now it slowly fades away. So let's turn this all the way back, so don't forget to do that later. Let's hear the reverb. Alright, we'll latch that. Nice big sounding reverb. Got the wet dry mix here. Alright, you got the time. Nice small room all the way up to the universe and beyond. That's the decay. And this is the pre-delay. And you do also have the envelope parameters. Let's try that. Give them a wiggle. Nice slow fade in, fade out. That's up to 5 seconds or as short as 5 milliseconds. So let's turn this back down. Alright, next is the glitch effect. Okay, so you have the wet dry mix. You probably want to turn that all the way up. Alright, then you have the time. Alright, now the way the time parameter works is that if it's all the way clockwise, you're pretty much just getting a loop. Now right now it's running in reverse. Okay, I'll show you that in a moment. And if you roll the time back, you'll get a clock division. And you hear a little bit of bleed with the glitch of the dry signal. Alright, this is the pitch. That's plus or minus 2 octaves. And I said before, this is the forward and reverse. So a lot of fun with that. Alright, last but not least, we have the tape stop. Oops, let's get that right. I gotta get the wet dry mix all the way up. There we go. Okay, so you have the wet dry mix here. You have the time. And then you have the slope. This is either an exponential slope or a cubic slope. Exponential all the way this way. Or cubic. And here you have a filter. So lots of fun with that. You do also have the attack and release times with the glitch effects as well as the tape stop. Alright, let's try to do some modulations. Here I just have a square wave coming from an LFO, and I'm going to patch that into one of the gain inputs, let's say, for example, the delay. So that'll bring in the delay effect. Or you can do that with the reverb. Glitch. Or the tape stop. Alright, so that's lots of fun. Now you can also take that and do the CV inputs for the 4 different control knobs. Now those are global to whatever is being lit at that given time, or if they're all being lit at once, say for example. So let's take a sample and hold LFO. Alright, and let's say I want to put it into FX2, and I'm going to have it set to the time of the delay. Okay, now that can also be to say the time of the reverb. Or the size of the glitch. Okay, or the time of the tape stop. You're not going to hear that as well because of the nature of how the tape stop works. Alright, so that's it. Let's hear some other sound samples. Alright, so let's have some fun with both Per4mers. Now what I've got going on here, I've got patched into the left Per4mer my Moog Subharmonicon, and in the right one I have my Moog DFAM. Alright, so I'm going to hit play on my sequencer and you can see what's happening. They're clock synced, okay? And you also have the compressor on the DFAM with a sidechain input. So let's hear what that sounds like. Ready? Alright, well that's it. That's the Modbap Modular Per4mer. Cool name, great sounding effects, and really, really fun to play with. Those arcade knobs are a blast. They are really fun. Thanks so much for watching the video. Do check out tjontheroad.com for more. Subscribe, share this channel. I thank you so much for your support, and I'll see you next time.